All right, everybody. Welcome to the Turner's Outdoorsman podcast. We have Gunnar and Tillian here with me today, and Tim DeVoe, who's usually our budget Jamie behind the scenes, doing all the work, doing all the editing, putting these together. But with the topic we have today, I figured he'd be a great guest to have on here and add to some of the content that we're going to do for you today. And of course, I'm Mike Etienne with Turner's Outdoorsman. So today we are going to talk about California's new law that's going around out there called AB 1127. A lot of people call it the Glock Ban, right? So I think for probably the last, I don't know, 5 months, we've been keeping our close eye on this. I know on our Instagram page before Gunner took that over on a weekly basis when I did Q&A Wednesdays. I had a lot of people asking what was happening with that law, where it was at in the process, and now we're kind of at that point where we have some more information. Like we expected, it flew through every channel of the legislature in California. From what my understanding is, as of today, it's sitting on the governor's desk. I don't believe he signed it yet or vetoed it yet. And we'll get to kind of at the end here, we'll talk a little bit about what the possibilities of what he's going to do there. But AB 1127, in other words, the Glock ban, what is on the books with this law is basically starting January 1, 2026. Originally, dealers were not going to be able to sell Glock or Glock clone handguns. And really, to be honest, the date was kind of up in the air, right? We didn't know as it moved through all the different phases of the legal system, we'll call it. There was no definitive date yet. We didn't know if it would be a July 1 thing or a January 1 thing. We weren't really sure how it was going to shake out. But as it progressed, they made some changes to the law. And I think, Tim, it's January 1 now, right, is when it would technically kick in.
Yeah, I believe so. It'll affect any pistols delivered before that would still be able to be sold.
Yeah. And we'll touch in detail on that. We have some questions from a bunch of customers. We asked for some questions for the show today. But essentially, what this started out as was, and a lot of people don't know why even it would be a thing. I think we got a lot of people going, why are they banning Glocks? It's the most popular gun out there, right? Before the whole roster thing, and that when I say roster thing, I mean before being able to add new guns to the safe handgun roster, um, Glocks were like our top seller always, like probably number one, two, between Glock 19s, Glock 17s, and so on. And then when we saw the SIG 320 hit the roster and the 365s, and now there's so many neat guns on the roster, Glocks got knocked down a little bit, but they're really still in the top five. And I'm sure all you know, we sell a lot of guns here in California, and Glock remains in that top. We'll call it a solid. I think in the top 10, there's probably three or four Glocks. So it's a big deal. And the reason why the our wonderful government here in California has gone after Glocks is not that it makes any sense, but I'll tell you that the hows and whys of it. There is a switch. They call it a Glock switch, right? And these Glock switches can be put on a Glock pistol, and it turns it into a machine gun, right? And it's the design of the Glock pistol. They have that removable plate in the back, and these guys are buying these switches off like Temu, or I don't know where they were getting from Alibaba. I don't know. I don't know where these bad guys, were buying this thing from. Obviously, those parts are completely illegal. Having just trying to buy, trying to manufacture, possessing that part is all like a mega felony, right? It's like having an auto sear in your AR-15. It's super
essentially
illegal.
it's essentially the same as having a machine gun.
Yeah, so that piece has always been illegal. And I don't know anyone that has one. It's one of those things that bad guys have. But now this law is really geared towards making us law-abiding gun guys bad guys. So it's super unfortunate. But the roots of this, again, guys were bad guys were buying this part called the Glock switch, and they could put them on a Glock on the Glock pistol in place of that rear plate. You see some guys will have that plate with like a Punisher skull on it or a Lucky Charm or whatever. It goes in that area and it almost looks like a safety, right? Like a manual safety. But what it's actually doing is it's controlling the fire control group on the gun to go, instead of being just semi-automatic as the gun was designed, when you flip that switch, it does something to disengage the sear, and it basically fires full auto. So with one press of the trigger and holding the trigger, you could dump a whole magazine, and that obviously is a bad thing. It's a machine gun, so the government didn't like it. Someone, I'm not sure who put this law. What one of our fine government officials here in California came up with this law, but they, instead of, I wouldn't even say instead of, because that part's already illegal, right? You can't own that part.
Can't own it at all.
You can't put it on a gun, but that's already all illegal. And like I said, doing that, it's bad guys that would even have these guns. But then you're saying, well, we can't control that side, so we'll just ban all the guns that they go on. And we were kind of freaked out at first because we're like, wow, Glocks, well, what's next? What does that encompass, right? So for the first few months, going back probably 10 months ago, we were really unsure what this thing looked like. We didn't know if it was going to affect like SIG 320s or M&P Smith & Wessons or Canics or Ross Martins or FMKs. I mean, there's a ton of guns out there that are, I guess we looked at probably Glock clones as being like a polymer pistol, right? Not a 1911.
Yeah.
Nothing with a hammer, obviously. So we weren't really sure. And then I think everyone asked that question, and as it was going through some of the hurdles to get through the government, the legislature in California, they amended this bill, and what they're saying now is, Tim, do you have the law there? You can probably just read it for us verbatim. Do you have the beginning part? No, I'll kind of summarize it. If not, do you have it on there?
Yeah, I do. I think what you're saying there is the provisions that were changed were to change it from a semi-automatic convertible pistol to a machine gun convertible pistol, and that has to do with the cruciform-shaped trigger bar and the removable backplate. So if it has the ability to have a backplate that's replaced by a device that would reset a cruciform trigger to allow one pull of the trigger to dispense multiple rounds, is what they're going for.
Yeah, and we've kind of attached ourselves to that cruciform trigger part of it, because I think if the gun didn't have a cruciform trigger bar, it would be exempt from this law, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
But right now, all our Gen 3 Glocks, and we even looked at a couple Gen 5s, and to me, they still have a cruciform trigger bar. So that's not it's not like that would be an easy fix. They'd have to actually change the trigger. Now, I know there is some triggers out on the market. I think Timney has a Glock trigger, if I'm not mistaken, and theirs is unique. It doesn't have that cruciform style trigger. So if your gun had something like that in it from the beginning, Glocks wouldn't be affected. But since they use the parts they use, and they have that cruciform, and if you look at a gun, if you pull the slide off and you look down at the trigger bar area, you'll see it's like a cross, right? Cross-shaped mechanism in there, and that's what they're calling that cruciform trigger bar. You can look it up online and learn more about it, but essentially what that affects now we're looking at is Glocks, all the Gen 3 Glocks that are on the roster, and all the Glock clones, which would be from what we've seen, really the Shadow systems, right? Which are super popular guns right now. Everyone loves them. No different than Glocks. I don't even know. How many Glocks do you have, Jim?
I think 7.
Yeah, I have. Which ones do you own?
2 17s. Got a nice 17 RTF too. Kind of rare deal there as far as California Glocks go. Gen 4 34, Gen 4 19, regular 19, and my first gun when I was 21 was a Glock 23.
Okay. That was always the go-to back in the day. We sold a lot of 40s, right?
Yeah,
So
not as
Glock
popular
23s.
these days, but
Yeah, I think everyone's figured out that 9s get it done.
Mhm.
But I have a 34, I have two 34s because we do, for competition shooting, 34 is like the greatest gun you can get out of the box for under $700. It's by far the way to go. Obviously, I've put a ton of money into my competition gun now, but it's worth a little more than $700 now. And then I have a couple Glock 19s. I have a Glock 26. I even have a Glock 43. So, and the reason why, everyone owns them is because they're fabulous, right? They always run. They're easy to shoot. They go bang when you want them to. I've rarely have had any problems with mine. The only guns that I have really had an issue with is my 34 because I've changed so many parts in it. Every once in a while, I'll get some light primer strikes because I have such a light firing pin spring in it. But for the most part, I mean, these guns just run clean, dirty, dry, overlube, whatever. They just run, right? They're super easy to shoot. They're super modifiable if people can do a lot of grip work, if your hands are a certain size, whatever. So there's such a huge gun for us. I think everyone, I know people always ask me when I first started doing social media, people would always say, I'm looking to buy my first gun. What should I buy? And I'd say Glock 19. Or people say, I'm looking to buy another gun. I go, do you have a Glock 19? That was kind of my go-to thing because it's such a staple, right? And for me, a Glock 19 to carry every day is a little big because I'm a fat guy and it's hard to carry and sit on a big gun. But I know skinny guys like Gunner, they could appendix carry a Glock 19 all day long without any issues. But that's why I have a 43, right? I wanted a small concealed carry gun and went smaller. But so they're super popular guns, and the way it's looking right now, we are going to lose the ability to sell these guns in our state, which is super unfortunate. We had a lot of questions on whens and hows, and we had Gunner go through some questions here with the people. We posted on our Instagram account this morning and said, hey, throw us your questions for this podcast, and we're going to roll through all those questions. But just to kind of in a nutshell, the laws changed a few times. They added a lot of really complex verbiage to the law, and we're still kind of have the attorneys digging through it. But basically, the way it sounds right now, all the Glocks that we own, that Turner's owns and has in stock, we're going to be able to sell those. In the past, I've been here. You guys have listened to the podcast before. I've been here almost 30 years. If you're new, I've been here almost 30 years. So I've seen a ton of this gun legislation come and go through the stores. Back from when I was at store level, I was here before the roster, and I was here when the roster kicked in, and I dealt with all the roster fallout. I remember I was arguing with our compliance guy the other day about this. I remember opening the West Covina store on Francisquito when the roster kicked in, I believe it was. And over the holiday, we had to pull all the guns off the sales floor. And then that morning, like on January 2nd or whatever it was, we were like, okay, we can put a Kimber out. Okay, we can put a whatever, Ruger P89 out, whatever they were at the time. We could slowly go through as they added, because just like now in DES, when the guns fall off, they start coming back, and it was kind of populating that day. And as we got guns added, we put guns out. But I've seen all that go through. And usually it's pretty black and white, pretty cut and dry. They go, okay, well, effective, if this bill passes, effective January 1, whatever year, from that day forward, you won't be able to buy one of those guns, right? Whether it's a bullet button gun or an AR pistol, or, we've been through all the different things, converted pistols, rostered guns, all these things. We always had a date to shoot for, right? It was like a hard stop. The thing that's unique about this AB 1127 is there's not really a hard stop, all right? And the way it's looking, and it's kind of weird, they're going to do us a solid, basically, which is why it's so hard to believe. And any gun that we bring into our inventory prior to January 1, 2026, that inventory is grandfathered, and then we can sell it to our customers, right? Now, if we got a pink, left-handed, broken, whatever gun that we couldn't sell, even if it sat here for 10 months, we could have that gun in our inventory on display for sale and sell it whenever we sell it. But once that inventory is gone, it's gone. Now, as you all know, we've talked about this a little bit before. Turner's is kind of the monster SoCal guns dealer, right? Seller, whatever you want to call us. We sell more guns than most, right? And we obviously, with that, we buy more guns than most. So we have already started the several weeks ago buying all the inventory we can buy. We know we've seen an uptick, a very valid uptick in sales the last 2 weeks or so. I think really when it went to the governor's desk, we saw a big boom, if we want to call it that, in Glock sales, more interest in Glocks overall. And we started buying, right? We started reacting to that. Before that, we didn't really know it was going to go. The whole thing we hoped would have died and not even got this far, but it's not looking that way. When we saw it kind of transition to that level and our customers reacting, saying, hey, we want Glocks, we started buying. And I feel like it's pretty safe to say that if there's Glocks in the pipeline, we probably bought them all already. I mean, we look at a forecast for what we can sell by month, by week, by day. And Brian, who's our boss and the CEO, it does a very good job planning. And he's very analytical, and he knows how to crunch the numbers, and he has bought just about everything we need to get us through. And from what he's telling me, and this is where it's important and where we found it important to get on this podcast, and I'm kind of droning on, but I'll get the other guys on in a minute. But what it's looking like right now is we're not going to have enough Glocks to make it through probably January.
Shoot, I'd be surprised by December.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on what the response is from this getting the word out. And one of the reasons we want to do this is a lot of people with other things we've done, people don't know. They don't hear it.
Yeah.
We put it in the ads. Now we post it on Instagram, Facebook, and things like that. But you'd be amazed how many people I see people all the time that I go, oh, I have an AR, and they go, oh, what kind of AR you have? And they go, oh, I don't know, I bought an old M&P Smith & Wesson or something. I go, oh, cool. I always ask, is it featureless or I have that bullet button on it? And I go, hey man, did you know bullet buttons aren't legal anymore? And they go, no, I bought it from you guys. It's completely legal. I bought it from Turner's. I go, yeah, well, when you bought it, that gun was legal, but the law changed and you had to convert it or register it. And they go, oh, shoot, I didn't know that. I hear that daily. So we feel like it's really our responsibility to let people know. Glocks, again, are like a legacy gun. Yeah. I can't tell you enough. If you don't own a Glock, go out and buy one. I'm telling you, like you can't go wrong. A lot of people wonder, like when I was doing social media, they asked, well, what does it mean? And we'll get into a little bit of that, but it's a good investment. I have all these, and I probably shouldn't say this because it probably will hurt sales, but I'm doing this so long, I have customers all the time that they buy guns and they think guns are like a collector's item or the value is going to boom. And very few guns. When you walk in and you buy you go walk into the Turner store today and you buy a brand new Hellcat or a P365 and you go take it to the range and shoot it, it's not going to be worth more than you bought it for. So I know, I hope there's no wives out there listening, because I know we all tell our wives that it's an investment and our gun's going to be worth more. But in most cases, that's not the truth. In this case with Glocks, if I had a little extra money laying around and I didn't want to buy NVIDIA stock or Tesla stock because it's capped out, I'd probably go buy a few Glocks and hang on to them for a little while.
Yeah, get on the Glock stock.
Yeah,
I mean, shoot,
stock.
it's like the Toyotas now. Yeah. Look at the car market. Everyone wants Toyotas.
So I would highly recommend you get out there and buy a Glock, because now, as I mentioned, the way this thing's going to work is all the inventory we bring in between now and the end of the year, we'll be able to sell. So let's say, something happens and some great thing gets invented, or, SIG starts giving guns away. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it would be it would change it. But for some reason, if we didn't sell the Glocks we have before January 1, as we mentioned, there's that weird modification to the law where we can continue to sell that inventory until it's gone. So no, we're not going to liquidate anything. It's not like I remember back in the original magazine ban when they banned standard capacity magazines in I don't know what year that was, 99. Trying to think of when that was. I remember when it came down to the wire, like the last few hours of the last day, we were selling stuff for nothing. Like I bought mags for guns I don't even have because I knew I bought Glock 21 mags and I have a bunch of high cap or standard cap Glock 21 mags because I bought them for like $10 because after that day we wouldn't be able to sell them, right?
Yeah.
But we're not going to see that, guys. So I know like the ammo tax, a lot of people are just thinking this thing's going to go away overnight. We're going to wake up and not have an ammo tax, but that's not going anywhere, not for a very, very long time. So I would recommend you go out and you get guns before, to be honest, before prices start going up, right? Because let's be realistic. It's supply and demand.
Yeah.
If we see sales continue the way they are, and when we realize that we truly are not getting any more of a model, there's no reason for us to give these things away. So you're going to see prices creep up. Just like when you saw COVID booms or any other booms, things get really expensive when there's not a lot available. So I'd recommend you rush out and buy one now.
Yeah.
So I've talked enough. I've droned on and on. I'm tired of hearing my voice.
Yeah.
So let's talk to Gunner here. Gunner, what are some of the questions the listeners?
Man. I mean, very fortunate for all our followers. You guys are great because honestly, we wouldn't be here without all our followers and our customers and everybody. But there has been a lot of a ton of question every day. Phones dinging, Glocks this, Glocks that, ton of questions. There's even some questions like people didn't even know that the Glock ban was a thing. So, we're just here to inform and answer some questions. And on top of it too is we don't want to scare people, but we do want to let you know like there is some sense of urgency that you're going to need when it comes to this ban. If it does go through.
Yeah, I don't want anyone to think that we're fear mongering.
Oh,
really,
yeah. No.
I feel like to me they should look at it as we're doing a service.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'd be different if we were trying to peddle junk and we're trying to be snake oil salesmen here.
Yeah.
But, Glocks are great guns, and I think I want to make sure everyone's aware of what's going on. A lot of these things sneak through. People have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone. We live and breathe this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Literally all day. I go home and watch YouTube on shooting stuff. So I am different. I know all of us sit at this table, whether it's hunting, competition shooting, whatever it is, long range shooting, whatever it is. We all live and breathe it, right?
Yeah,
it's our
absolutely.
And then it's our job, right? So we do it for 50 or 60 hours a week, and then we're crazy and we go home and look at our own stuff or play.
And then you do it at home.
So, it's funny how many guys shoot matches like this. You shot over the weekend, right?
Yeah.
Tim, did you do anything that's fun over the weekend, or did you go to Walmart?
I spent the weekend with the wife. She was off work, so.
Gotcha. So a bunch of the guys I know upstairs, we were talking this morning, a bunch of them shot that training course that you did.
Yeah, that was cool.
Bill shot a long-range piston gun.
Yeah, gas gun match.
Which sounded pretty cool. That's a SoCal long-range guys. Shout out to them doing some cool matches. But we do this all the time, and we want to make sure that people understand what's happening because people aren't all like us.
Yeah.
They're not all wired in and know what's going on, and there's a lot of questions out there.
Yeah, so we're here to inform and instruct. So on the topic of sales and, telling people to go out and if you need to, get your Glocks if you want them. So one of the questions we got is Turner's Outdoorsman doing a Glocktoberfest? And if so, when?
That's a good one. Yes, we are. We promised we would do it early on. And we are actually working on the ad right now. So Glocktoberfest will be October. I almost said Glocktober 1st. It will be Glocktober 1st. So Glocktoberfest will start October 1st and run the rest of the month all the way through Halloween. And you'll see some discounts on guns. I'll tell you right now, with limited availability and a cap, just like I mentioned, a month ago when I told guys to go in and buy these guns, they're not going to be as cheap as they were last Glocktoberfest, right? It's just not that way. A lot of the reason for that, we're not trying to gouge, but we're going out and buying up inventory wherever we can. And normally we pick and choose how we buy Glock and when we buy Glock, just like anything else. And we pass those deals on when we see deals on guns to our customers. And we're having to buy guns from wherever we can.
Yeah.
So we're having to reach out to sources, and we're not always getting the low deal that we normally traditionally get that Turner's likes, but so you're going to see a little bit increase there, not much, but they're not going to be at the rock bottom prices you may have seen in the past.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, you're only going to see those prices climb. Obviously, once we get locked into Glocktoberfest, we'll be locked into that for the month. The biggest concern at that point is just how many guns we have, and if you want a Glock 19 with night sights, or a Glock 34, like some of those are already going away, right? I know some of them are hard to get. I don't even know if you can get 21s anymore. I think you can. But some of that stuff, the rare 10 mil, things like that, some of those they've discontinued a while ago. So they're going to be hard to get. So yes, we are going to have Glocktoberfest. Make sure you get out there. Starts in a couple of days on Glocktober
It's popping up. So now that we're talking about a little bit more of the price and the Glocks that you can get brand new, another question we had was, what will the price be of used Glocks? How will we see them get affected with the new law getting passed?
For the used market.
Yeah, for the used market.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like I just said, we talked about, about investing, right? I think I know I'm going to probably buy a couple more. Not only for the investment side, but it's it's like a FOMO thing, right? Like, what do you do? Like, I have teenage kids, right? Well, when my teenage kid's 21 and wants to get a CCW, how do you just be like, oh man, you can't have a Glock?
Yeah.
That sucks.
How do I live without that 10 mil Glock I don't have yet?
Yeah, exactly. So there's all these situations where I'm gonna probably buy a couple just to bang. Like I don't need to worry about shooting grizzly bears right now, but I'm gonna have that hunt coming up, and I know like in Montana and stuff, those guys are big on 10 mil. You had a pretty scary bear.
Oh man, yeah.
Said it would have been nice to have a 10 mil on your side. I think you at least feel a little better when you're walking in the dark, right?
When you're walking in the woods at 5 o'clock in the morning and you flash a light on not just one but 3 bears, you're definitely gonna get a little spooked and wish you had a gun on you.
Especially when you're bow hunting.
Yeah,
right?
when you got your bow.
Yeah,
I don't know what a flashlight and a bow is gonna really do to a bear, but
about as much as bells and saying "Hey bear."
Yeah. So, I mean, I honestly see with this Glock stuff at the point where it could turn into a family heirloom in the state of California.
I'll tell you, it is one of those things. Like a lot of people, I'm trying to think of other trinkets I've seen where people buy things for their kids, like further down generations. But buying a couple Glock, like key Glocks, 1917s, things like that is a pretty good thing to have if you have kids. And also, from an investment standpoint, we're not telling you to go buy 20 and be a unlicensed gun dealer, but it's one of those things where you can come in and put them on consignment and sell them, or sell them on the used market.
I mean, the crazy thing about this, even, we talk a lot about the lawsuits and FPC and doing work in courts, and even getting the roster overturned. Even if they overturn the roster and we can have every other gun, we're still not going to get Glocks back if this is on the books.
Yes, that's correct. So even if the roster, that's a good point, Tim. It's a really good point.
Yeah.
So even if the roster went away tomorrow, we still be screwed. We couldn't have Glocks, which is a bummer. From what I understand, even the Gen 5s that we can sell in Arizona and other markets, from what I've seen, they still have cruciform trigger bars. I'd heard somewhere around that, in the talking of this, that Glock made some modification where they won't take a switch, and maybe they did, maybe they didn't, but it didn't to prevent them from being legal. And to be clear, because there's always people who are, in their parents' basement listening to this podcast and are going to comment on our video. There is some stipulations to the law, other things they changed that talked about how Glock can go in and modify their gun, and then resubmit it to the roster and not have to microstamp or mag chamber load indicator or mag disconnect. Blah blah blah. It's a mouthful, right? So like all the new guns, if Glock was to want to add a new gun right now, if they came out with a Gen 6, right, and they wanted to put it on the California roster, just like Staccato and SIG and Ruger and all the guys, Smith & Wesson, Springfield Armory, all doing a great job adding guns on the roster, they're going to have to have added features to that Glock. So when they're designing it and their R&D department's looking at it, they're going to have a chamber loaded indicator, which no Glocks have right now. And they will have to have a magazine disconnect safety, which no Glocks have right now. But if they were to do that and put them on the roster, they would still get banned unless they change. They have to actually go the extra mile, and they have to have a new trigger fire control group that does not utilize a cruciform trigger bar. And we're all hoping they'll go that way. The way the law, they add, again, unlike California, they added another little, widget in this law that says if they were to modify a current Gen 3 gun, they would not need to have a magazine disconnect or chamber loaded indicator. They could just make it to where it wouldn't accept a switch, and they let them put it, they let them be legal. They let it put it back on the roster. So it'd be like a asterisk gun or something, and they'd say, this is the new one that's legal and it's still on the roster. But being a heavy hitter in the industry, having those conversations with Glock, they ain't got anything in the pipeline. So I'll tell you right now, if you guys think that that's all because they're going to drop something here in the next month or two, it ain't happening.
Yeah,
I'd be surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, their bread and butter is law enforcement, military contracts around the world in 49 other states,
Yeah.
I know we do sell a lot of guns in California. We have a lot of gun buyers, but I don't see them making that change personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, why would they?
And speaking to them, I haven't personally, but our Glock buyer has spoke to them, and they don't have anything in the immediate future in the works.
It's a shame.
Yeah, it is. It would be wildfire, right? If we could get a 43X or a 19X MOS, or some of these guns, they would move from where they are right up to the top for sure, as far as top sellers. But going back to your question,
Yeah, let's get into an alternative, kind of to piggyback on that. Someone asked, what is going to be the best alternative other than a Glock and a Glock clone?
that's a good question. There's so much, right?
I know both of you guys are Glock owners, so whatever you think, let's hear it from
Well,
both
let's
you guys.
talk about you specifically. Gunner came on board. Where'd you start? August 1st?
August
4th?
3rd, yeah. August 4th, something like that.
So a couple of months ago. And you're we've talked about this, I think, on every episode. You're a big hunting guy, rifle hunting, archery, big fishing guy, but you're not a big competition shooter.
No,
You're not a
Just getting into
CCW
it.
guy. You came out of state, right? So when we looked at guns for you, I think we all pushed you towards an M&P.
Yeah, and the 2.0 has been great.
Yeah.
I've been loving it.
How you like it?
Oh, I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, shot it yesterday.
Yeah, and it's everyone seems to really love the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0. You obviously have the optics cut slide on yours, so you're running the red dot. I think there's some new models, right, that are going to be available with the slide cut option. Of course, all the SIGs, SIGs 320, even though they've got drugged through the mud lately, we've done an extensive video on that. I think that's another good route to go if you're looking at something like that. Walther PDPs are wildly popular right now. Those are still hard to get. We're still filling back orders on those. I know we get hammered every week on questions on when we're going to get Walther PDPs, but that just shows the popularity of that gun, right? It's a super popular gun. What else out there, Tim?
Yeah,
I mean, it kind of depends on use case as well. I mean, out bear hunting, out rifle hunting with a sidearm, you'd want that 10 mil. So that really limits options. Glock 29s, Glock 20s are a popular option. There's not really anything that's probably going to replace that, at least that I'm aware of. Closest thing is going to be a 10 mil 1911. Kimber. It's a great pistol, but not the high capacity, lightweight polymer kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Shield 2.0s are great option there. 365s, but I mean, I'm gonna miss my Glocks. We already missed the boat on some of those concealed carry Glocks, and I think they got it right back in the 80s with something like 34 pieces. I love those guns. I understand how they work, tearing them apart.
Yeah.
And I think that's important on a gun that you carry every day, because you need to be able to go in there, diagnose problems, and, my
Not
mental
that they ever
capacity.
have 'em.
Yeah. My mental abilities, it's a little bit more difficult when you start looking past 50, 60 pieces,
Yeah,
trying to diagnose
yeah.
things.
Yeah, that's a good point. They've always kind of pushed that on how simplified they are. Um, and that's where it goes to like, hey dummy, go buy some Glocks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
I'm
if
that
you
dummy.
really if you look at what your question was, what else is out there? You know what? There's a bunch of guns you can buy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
There's
it's
Walters, there's Canics, there's Smith and Wessons, there's Springfield Armory. The echelons are super highly anticipated, just like the PDPs are. Ross Martins, FMKs. There's all these different guns, different price points, and it will talk just polymer frame guns like
Yeah.
a Glock. But in the end of the day, it's really hard to beat a Glock.
yeah, a Glock's a Glock. I mean,
So it's not,
can't go wrong.
that's why it does so well. Everyone knows, you don't really have to explain. I think there's a vendor of ours, the guy from Camden Defense, his name is Brandon. He hates Glocks. Always hated Glocks.
Just thinking about him, man. I saw
And
him.
he only hates them because he knows how popular and how good they are. Okay, he's an HK guy, right?
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that makes me. I almost had him on the podcast just so we can make fun of him. He was here last week visiting with some neat new stuff. But yeah, I think if you're asking what else, it's like why ask what else? Go buy a Glock before they're
Yeah,
gone.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
And then later on, buy something that you can
Yeah,
buy. Those
yeah.
aren't going anywhere. But if you have money to burn right now, or you can find some money to liquid income to go buy another gun, I highly recommend going and picking up a Glock. The guys in the stores can steer you in the right direction. Go online and read anything anywhere, and they'll tell you. If you are a gun owner and you like buying guns and you like shooting handguns and you don't own a Glock 19 or a Glock 17, you should change that.
yeah,
Fair to say?
I mean, if you do, you should probably just go get another one.
Yeah.
just go to Turner's
Um,
though.
So
Yeah.
and then later on, when you go to make your next purchase, you could look at an Echelon or a PDP or all these great new modern guns. But it's like this is your chance to buy something that is going away. So it's like imagine if right now you could go buy a '69 Z28 Camaro and put it in the garage, right? If we didn't know that, right? Did anyone know that in 1969, that 1970, that it's like, hey, why don't you buy one of these and cover it up and put it in the garage for 40 years?
In 3 years, cars are going to suck.
Yeah. So I would make sure if you don't have one now, we're giving you the heads up, we're giving you the warning. Go buy a Glock.
Yeah. So on the topic of like how you're talking about the pieces and how simple the Glock is, somebody was asking as well, are Glock complete slides going to be affected by the bill, and are all parts being banned?
Nope, no provision in the bill that I've seen that affects any of that.
Yeah, parts aren't going anywhere. This is just on complete guns, and more so. A lot of people ask, it's not just guns that are being banned. They're being banned from the dealers selling them. So again, we're saying buy one, invest in one, whatever. After this goes through, after we sell all our inventory, and you wait, 6, 12, 18 months, and you're going to start seeing the guys come out of the woodworks that couldn't believe this really was going to happen, and they want a Glock 19 or a Glock 17 or a Glock 34 because they got into competition shooting, whatever it may be, and you own one, you'll be able to transfer them to him. You'll be able to come in the store, I would think, right? Put them on consignment, or be able to sell them to a private party, a buddy at work, a relative, whatever. You'll be able to sell. Obviously, this isn't a mission, an order to go out and buy 30 Glock 19s and open up a offer up store selling guns online. You're not allowed to do that.
Pop-up shop.
You're not-
Somebody might have something to say about
there's
that.
yeah, the government will want to pay you a visit. There's only so many guns you can sell before you're operating without a license. So, but if you're buying a few here and there to help pay for another new gun down the road, or maybe I know everyone talks about staccatos now. Everyone wants a staccato, right? This is a good way. Maybe buy a couple, put them away for a little bit, and then liquidate them, and you'll have a little bit of extra cash to buy a staccato or whatever's new. There's a lot of new stuff coming down the road. It's going to be super exciting year. But I can't emphasize enough. I just want to like bat people over the head because they just don't understand the opportunity that's in front of them now when they can react, buy a gun for roughly the same price they've been the last 5 years, and get ahead of this thing.
Yeah. I mean, personally for me, I used to buy and sell like clothes and shoes and vintage clothing and all that. And the supply and demand, it's a real thing. And if you have like what they call in that market, it's called diamond hands, where you acquire a piece of clothing or a shoe and you hold on to it, and it's obviously gonna get more valuable and more price. So
Did you buy like sundresses or what?
no, these were some Jordans, some Jordans. Got them for like $200, and then end up selling them for like 1,500.
Nice.
So it's a real thing though, and I mean that's just how business is. You know, as a business degree person, got my MBA in business, so. I'm not saying I know everything about business, but yeah, it's a real thing, and
You better go buy some Glocks.
yeah, from Turner's Outdoorsman.
Exactly.
But to go into another question about how you're talking about private parties, someone did ask though, is AB 1127 going to affect private party transfers?
No, it will not. So again, going back to what we were talking about, if you buy a Glock for resale later, or you own a Glock, and you realize in a few months that you should have bought more and you didn't, and you want to try to capitalize on the one you have, you could come into Turner's or any dealer and do a private party transfer, no problem.
Yeah. And then we had one more. Is can I still use my current models on my CCW?
Good question. Yes. Again, this isn't about a safety thing, guys.
Yeah.
Let's be real. This isn't about are they safe to use, are they safe to buy. This is an opportunity that the anti-gun legislature in California took to limit the amount of guns that we can buy. They don't like what we stand for. They don't like what we do. They don't like the fact that you can go into Turner's tomorrow and buy 3 handguns and a shotgun, right? They don't like it. They don't want you to have any guns, right? And I hate to bang that drum, but I'll be blunt. The people that are making these laws in our state, they hate guns. They hate guns. They don't understand guns. They don't understand gun people, and they don't want us buying more guns. So they're looking for any little loophole or any type of thing they can find to limit the amount of guns that we buy. Whether it's a 1 gun a month, a 3 guns a month, it's your AR, you can't have this, or your AR can't have that. They're all the roster, the micro stamping, the magazine disconnect, chamber loaded indicator, all these things. There's never been a thing that I know of that said, let's do this because it's safer. If they did that every time new guns came out, they should be added to the roster because they're safer. Yeah. These things are designed and put into law because they want law-abiding citizens to buy less firearms. That's the bottom line.
And we did have a question about that. Someone was like, why does California hate law-abiding citizens with guns? But
it's because they hate guns.
I think they just hate everybody.
Maybe. It seems like it, right?
Yeah.
They hate fishing. They hate gun owners. They hate off-roaders. They hate hunting. They're trying to ban all kinds of hunting.
Yeah.
I saw they're trying to ban coyote hunting the other day.
Yeah, people do not like it. But I mean, they just got rid of the bobcat hunting in California. Yeah, you can't do that. They're going for the bears next.
Yeah.
Well, they
It's
pay
all the
somebody.
fuzzy.
They
Yeah.
pay a depredation hunter to kill him, but
Yeah.
you want to buy a tag for along with your deer tag, and it's $300 and some dollars.
Yeah. My bear tag for a non-resident is very expensive.
So rather than let a hunter go take care of them, would pay somebody to go kill the same number of bears that would have been killed by sportsmen.
Yeah.
And
It's
not raise
crazy.
money.
Yeah, it's insanity. But that's the state we live in. We've talked about that too here, about how there is perks to living here. We're not running out, right? We have 37 great stores here. And we all know why we live here, right? There's a lot of opportunity in the out. For me, it's a lot of opportunity, not only from a work perspective, because our company is based here, but also from a livelihood standpoint, or for me, it's livelihood. Uh, our lifestyle, we can go shoot. I'm gonna go shoot after work. I have to qualify for my CCW tomorrow, so I'm gonna go shoot after work and check all my red dots, make sure they're all good, right? But I can just literally 15 minutes from the office, I could be at a shooting range. And if I want to wake up tomorrow and go saltwater fishing, I can do that.
Yeah.
And if I want to wake up the next morning and go bear hunting, you can do that, right?
Yeah.
You
Well, not right now, but
where all
yeah.
the bears are, though.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, so
No bear
all that,
tag.
we have mountains, we have oceans, we have Great Lakes, so we deal with it, right? There's a lot of opportunity for people to work here. There's a lot of people tied to industry here in the state, so we'll always be here to support our customer base and all our employees here. But a lot of people can get really focused on why the heck anyone would want to live in this state. And from what I heard, I just heard something the other day that more people are leaving again. I heard there's another big population exodus of people bailing out.
Not surprised.
Which hopefully doesn't ruin the states we want to move. I spent a lot of time in Arizona, and that's like free world, right? Free America.
Got 3 months of it. It was great.
Yeah. I just hope that all these people moving there don't start to bring their ideology to those states, and get enough numbers where they can make a difference. What other questions?
I mean, we answered most of them just along the way, but we'll, someone asked, no, we already did that one basically, but here's kind of that one. It was kind of a trick question. They put 2 dates, but it wasn't really actually the dates, but they said, when exactly is the last day to buy a Glock, January 1 or January 1, 2026?
July 1.
Or July 1, 2026.
Yeah, so that's a good question, and that's a weird one. I think it seems like the last couple big legal, whatever you want to call them, the big doomsdays, we'll call them, the last few years, like the ammo tax kicked in July 1, 2026. The ammo get-in, when we had the ammo background registration check, that was a July effective date. But traditionally, it's been January, and I think it all just depends on how and when the legislature writes it into law. I think if they did it in a certain session, they would say it's January 1, and if it's done in a different session, they want it as soon as possible. So we're sitting here going into October, into Glocktober, and the soonest they'll be able to implement it is going to be January 1.
Yeah.
So we have till January 1 for business as usual. But like I said, those of you who don't know, I run all the purchasing and marketing for Turner's. So I know what's going on purchasing wise, and we're buying them at a very high rate. But I also know they've been going out the door at a high rate. And I know from all the years of experience, the sales are going to be a very heavy lift upward. We'll start selling more and more every day until we're out. That's how people are. We procrastinate. And that's what we're going to see. So I'm telling you, if you do what I do and other things and procrastinate, you're going to end up buying a M&P or something else because you won't get a Glock.
Because there could be a chance, like if there's a gun during Glocktober, you're like, oh, I'll just wait till after. It might not be there, right?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. With that ad, I'm sure a lot of people come out and take advantage of the sale prices. And to be honest, I don't even know that someone will make it till then in the weekly ads or just being in stock, especially some of the oddballs. So let's talk about if you're interested, you don't know what model, I'd recommend you jump online and look at some different options as far as different Glocks go. You have to look at Gen 3s for the roster here. Or I encourage you to swing by the store. The guys in the store are super knowledgeable, guys and gals. They can show you what we have. We have a guns for sale list. You can go to our website, turners.com, and you can filter to handguns and Glocks and California legal, and you can get an idea of everything that we stock in the stores. I'm pretty sure everything should be up and active on there. And then you could do your own research as far as some of the different models, and there's some green frame guns. I don't know how many of those are left. Again, different sizes, different calibers. Um, but I highly recommend you do it now because some of the more oddball guns are going to be the ones that go first.
Yeah.
I think we'll have Glock 19s probably till the last bit of time we have, or slightly past it even. But I think a lot of the oddball, some of these guns we only have 30, 50, 80, 100 of, and there's no more in the pipeline. And so, again, putting my purchasing hat back on, we've talked to a lot of the distributors, and I'll share a little bit of behind the scenes that I'm trying to think if it's any issues. No, it's not. So, Turner's, again, we buy a lot of guns, right? So, when we buy guns, the best deal generally comes from us buying them direct. So when we want to buy Smith and Wessons, we write a purchase order and we send our purchase order to Smith and Wesson, and Smith and Wesson ships us our guns. Smaller dealers, like Tim and Gunner's Gun Depot, if they're not doing bigger volume like a Turner store, like some of the bigger stores are, they're buying those guns through distribution, right? They're through a middleman. Many, many years ago, like 2005, we were actually we were a Glock distributor and bought our Glocks direct, but they changed their operating structure at Glock, and all Glocks have to be bought through distribution. There's not a lot of people that do that. Ruger is another one where all the guns come through a middleman. And they find it easier. They have less customers to deal with. They deal with 10 customers instead of 10,000 dealers. But with that, we know what those guys have available since we're all buying through distribution. We've talked to those channels, and they have tried to order guns, and Glock is not accepting orders on guns. So if I, for example, 3 weeks ago, would have called my distributors and said, hey, I want 5,000 Glock 19s, and they were to hang up the phone with me and call their Glock contact and say, hey, I got a PO, I want to order 7,000 Glock 19s, they're saying, we're sorry, we're not producing California Glocks anymore. We're not taking new orders. The orders that you have placed, we will deliver. Turner's already bought them all, or you're done. So there's not an option to put anything on order at the distributor level. So whatever these guys just like I'm a buyer, right? I buy other brands, right? For example, I buy FMK. Okay, so FMK, I look at what we sell every month, and I have orders placed for the next few months, and that gives our vendor partners an idea of what kind of components they need. So they go, okay, if we're selling 50 of the new bronze Gen 3 FMK pistols a month, I write 50, like right now, about 50 to ship October 1, 50 to ship November 2. November is a holiday period, so maybe I'll buy 100 because we have Black Friday and the Christmas flyer, all that coming on, and then I'll get back to those staggered orders, right? Our distributors do the same thing. They know that their customer base is going to buy X number of Glocks a month. So they have these orders in. So if you went and looked at their open order with Glock, they're ordering, 200 Glock 19s, 2,000 Glock 19s a month, whatever their quantities look like, depending on how big they are. And they had Turners and all the other dealers calling them going, hey, I need Glocks. This ban's happening. And they went to Glock and said, hey, I need more. And they go, sorry, we're done. We're not going to produce anymore. For whatever reason. I can't tell you why. To me, I'd be firing up the machine and making Gen 3 California Glocks. But with all due respect, Glock's never been that minded. I don't know why, if they're busy with the rest of the country and their military and other countries' production or what it is. But I wish it was different. I wish they could adapt more and get guns on the roster and do all these things. And maybe this will force them to in the future. I would love nothing more than to own the Glocks I have now and then see a Gen 6 or Gen 7?
Yeah, I'd love to have a Gen 6 Glock. I love the new texture. It's a lot grippier than the old stuff.
What size would you buy though?
It depends. I'm a 19 is my carry gun, 1734 for competition. I think I'd probably buy a 17 or 34 and go with the long slide with the optics cut.
And let's talk about that a little bit because a lot of people don't know. And it was confusing to me for a long time, even though I worked in the industry and I've never been the Glock buyer, but selling them and doing ads and everything else. So, well, should we start big and go down or start small? So I think the original was a 17, right? It was like the original style Glock.
Correct.
Was a 17, and that's a 4.5-inch barrel.
Correct.
Is that right? And it's a 17 round mag.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Glock 17 is a 4.5-inch version. It's a pretty healthy grip with a 17 round mag.
Yeah, 9mm.
9mm. And then if you had that in a 40, it would be a Glock 22.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you go down to, does it consider a compact at the 19 size? So that's a 4-inch barrel,
correct,
roughly.
Yeah.
So a Glock 19 is a 4-inch barrel with a standard magazine capacity of
15 rounds.
15. Of course, we're all 10 rounds here in California for now. And then the 40 version of that gun's a Glock 23 we were joking about.
Correct.
In fact, I think I sold Gunner's dad one of those years ago.
Yeah.
It's just a super common gun, right? Guys wanted more power. It was after the Hollywood shootout. Everyone wanted to go bigger than 9, right?
Yeah.
So Glock 23s became super popular. I know I've sold a ton of them.
Became the FBI service pistol, so that's...
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that was his grizzly bear gun when he went to Alaska.
Yeah, that's a good reason. So we covered Glock 17, 22, Glock 19, Glock 23.
Mm-hmm.
And then the subcompacts come into place, which those would be the Glock 26 and the 9mm and the Glock 27 and the 40. What's the barrel length on those? Do you know off the top of your head?
Not off the top of my head, no.
It's the smallest one that you can get here in California, though.
Correct.
Then later on, you saw Glock come out with like 43s and things in other states. They're super popular in other states. They've never been added to the roster.
Yep.
Again, that's where it goes back to what we were talking about with adapting to this rule, and are they going to react so they can sell guns here? They could have reacted for the last several years, and we still don't have any. We don't have a Glock 19 MOS. We don't have a Glock 43. We don't have a 43X. All these could have been made and put on the roster. Shadow did it, right? And Shadow's essentially a Glock style pistol. So it can be done, and they haven't done it. So I don't see them reacting. But going back to size, Glock 26, Glock 27, smallest you can get in California. Glock 19, Glock 23 is that mid-size. That's a super popular concealed carry size. And then Glock 17, Glock 22, which was the OG, a 9 and 40. Then going up from that, staying in 9mm, it's the Glock 34 and Glock 35, which are the long slide, 17 size frame roughly.
Correct.
But the long slide version, what are they, 5-inch?
Yeah, and it is a 17 frame, so dimensionally there with the longer barrel inside.
Yeah, and then available again in 9mm in the Glock 34 and the 40 in the Glock 35. Now this is where it gets tricky. There's a bunch of other ones, and that's why I have Tim sitting in here. Glock 21s are the 45 full-size version.
Correct.
Which would be is it a 4.5-inch barrel?
Yes.
Okay, so Glock 21's the 45 ACP and the 4.5-inch barrel. Now, historically, they made the same Gen 3 as like a 17 style or 19 style gun, but then they went to the SF.
Yeah, the short frame.
Is that what it is? Short frame? I didn't remember.
A lot of people call it the slim frame, but I believe it's short frame.
Yeah, it's a 21 SF, but there was a point where Glock quit making the standard 21 and only offered the 21 SF, correct? And then going down from that, there's a Glock 30?
30, yeah, that'd be the compact 45
which would be
caliber.
the compact 45. and then going down one further, like the 2627 would be the Glock 36.
I think that was one of them's a single stack,
Yeah,
and then one of them's a stagger.
that's the smallest 45
Yeah.
you can get, though.
Yeah.
And I don't know if those are still available or not. We should.
I think they've exited a while ago, which is why I probably can't remember them.
Yeah. So, and then, so that's all the 45 family, 36, 30, 21. And then, so for those of you looking for a 45, you want to focus on looking for those. And then the other side of it was going to be the 10 mils. And that's where I get fuzzy on. There's the 20.
20 and 29
Is there just two?
for California. Yeah.
Okay. So a Glock 20 and 29 are the 10 millimeter variants. Again, the 20 being the full frame, 4.5 inch, and then the 29 being the subcompact version of the same gun. I think that really covers all the sizes. Let's talk about uses, right?
Yeah.
So obviously Glock 34, Glock 35, those are competition guns, right? And if you're not a competitive shooter, a lot of people, they go, I'm never going to shoot competition. That's fine. That's fine. No problem with that. I don't even like shooting competition that much, to be honest. But if you don't want to do that, it's really fun gun to shoot. It's a full size, long slide, long sight picture. Even you're running red dot, they feel really good. They run really good. Very soft shooting. Just a great pistol for, like, we'll call it a target model, right? Instead of competition, we'll call it a target version. So if you're into target shooting, things like that, that's the way to go. Glock 17, which is a OG full size gun, 4.5 inch. That gun's, people ask me all the time, what gun should I buy? And to me, a 17 would be, it's a full frame gun. It's more of a nightstand gun, right? It's not, or it's a gun that if people are getting into the hobby of shooting and they're not just self-defense oriented. Let's say they're not self-defense oriented at all. They just like to shoot, right? There's a lot of people who just like to shoot. A Glock 17 is a nice full-size frame gun for people with large hands. It's super accurate, great shooting gun.
I think the great thing about that 17 too, since we're talking about the ban and the future availability, as the question was asked, does it ban slides and barrels? And it does not. So if you can't find that 34 you're looking for, 17 is the next best option, and then you can grab a 34 barrel and slide and put it on there. Essentially, you've got
a good point. You could build a 34 with
Mm-hmm.
it, yeah, because it's the same length, dust cover, all that's all the same.
Correct.
Yeah, that's a good point. So 17 is a good option for people who just want a good full size shooting gun. And then 19, I tend to recommend. Excuse me. I tend to recommend 19s because the size is really friendly. It seems like most people, when they hold a 19, it fills their hand pretty well, right?
Mm-hmm.
If anything, I think more people, it's too big for them than it's too small. Whereas 17 is a big frame gun, it's a lot of gun to grab. So 19 super. I think that's why it's always been the most popular. Not necessarily everyone's concealing them or using it for CCW or anything like that. It's just a good size gun. So even if you're using it for a home protection gun, it's a great size nightstand gun. Of course, in your lockbox in your nightstand. Or if you're carrying concealed, great size gun if you're that right body type. If you're using it to, go out gold panning and you want a sidearm, it's a good size gun. When you're, working or doing anything outside, it's a fairly small enough to where it's not in the way, right? Like some guns can be. And I think that's what makes it so darn popular. And then the 2627 family, those are the shorties, right? It's a 3-inch barrel, like the XD, Springfield Armory XD 9 3-inch. Again, they actually shoot very well. I have one. I've actually shot a couple IDPA matches with mine and done really well with it. But again, not for everyone. That's the one where the frame is significantly smaller. So a lot of people think like a Glock 19. When you're holding a Glock 19, you get your 3 fingers on the grip comfortably. And when your bottom 3 fingers, so your trigger finger, your middle finger, your pinky, and your ring finger, I guess, can comfortably fit on a Glock 19 or Glock 17. When you get to a Glock 26, the little stubby guys, generally your pinky is going to hang off, right? So you're going to either let it ride under the magazine, or they make some cool little grips that go on the magazines to give your pinky a little area to purchase on. But that 26 is a small gun, so it's not for everyone. And I think looking back historically, as far as the CCW market goes, I feel like Glock 26 never got real popular. I think it's because they're so fat.
It's just as wide as a 19. So
Yeah.
if I'm going to carry something that wide, I'm just going to probably make the step to the 19.
Yeah, and the 26 are like 7-round mags.
They're
right?
10.
10. Are they
Yeah.
10?
Mm-hmm.
But it's short. It's a bottom line. It's short. It's not. It's a little bit harder to carry or to hold, and it's a wide gun. So it's like I had one of my first CCW gun. I put one on it, and I found myself never carrying it because it was just a lot of gun to sit on in the car and things like that. But they're still fun to shoot. I know a lot of guys that have them and love them. And if you have a Glock 19 and you have a Glock 17, go buy a 26.
Yeah.
But if not, again, I draw you back to the 19 as kind of the Swiss Army knife of pistols, right? It kind of does it all.
Whichever one fits your hand. I mean,
yeah.
17 or 19.
Yeah, the 17 is also, like you said, with the option to swap slides out. And again, that slide change, not only is it to the longer slide, but you could also swap it to a 40, right?
You can, yeah.
So for anyone that down the road wants to have a 40 cal pistol, you can always buy a different slide with the red dot, and you could have a 40 slide, a 9 slide, do all that. Well, I think we have the meat of it, right? We got to make sure we mention that Glocktoberfest is starting October 1st.
October 1st, yes.
Yeah.
2025.
So that's exciting. We got that coming up. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to reach out to us on our social media page on Instagram.
Yep.
You can hit up Gunner here with your questions. I'm sure we missed something, or we instigated some questions out there that'll come in, or who knows?
I'm sure I misspoke, so
Or
he'll
I
probably answer for
misspoke.
that.
I'm sure we did multiple times, but we're really, again, guys, trying to get the word out, let you know what's going on. This is a bummer deal, so I think we all need to just make the best of it and buy the guns while we can. Who knows? Maybe down the road we'll see Glock when they see a sales dip from not having guns going into the state. We'll wake them up and they'll work on a California gun in the distant future. But for now, we have a ticking timeline here. So you want to get in as soon as you can. Again, the guns aren't going to make it, I assure you. Don't be that guy that's coming in the last week of December and saying, "Oh, I heard they're banned. I wanted to buy one." Because I'm the way it's looking right now, we'll have guns just to last through there. And again, if we see any more uptick or uplift in the trend we're seeing right now, I honestly don't think we're going to make it till the end of the year. I think we'll be out in the next 60 days possibly. So I can't urge you enough to get in there now and make a purchase. You want to talk about a little bit about these people that are hearing this in California and they want to run down to Turner's and buy a gun, what they need to bring to the store, Tim?
Oh, yeah, Tim. You're the professional of this. Let's hear it.
So let me direct you to turners.com where all of this stuff is. But essentially you need valid driver's license or ID. If you have the real ID, that's great. If not, you're going to need some supplemental documentation. But you want your ID to be valid, so unexpired. You want it to have your current physical address on there, no PO box. If you need a correction for that, there are several things that will fix that. If you have the real ID, you'll have the bear up in the corner. If it has the words federal limits apply on it, you're also going to need to bring us either a passport or birth certificate from the county. Unexpired, if you have like a resident alien card, a green card, or naturalization, there's a couple different things on there. So for the full list, if you're born in the United States, it'd be birth certificate or passport, generally passport card. For a handgun, you're also going to need proof of residency. So you're going to need a utility bill, vehicle registration, something wired or piped in your home. Each place it's kind of a little different what could be taken as far as utilities go. So if your address is correct on your ID, it's a little more generous on what we can accept according to the DOJ. If you need an address correction, you're going to need a government issued document. A lot of times that's a vehicle registration that's current with your current physical address on there. Fishing or hunting license is another popular one. From there, you're going to need a firearm safety certificate or proof of firearms training. So if you have a CCW, great, bring that. That'll also cover your address correction and proof of residency if it's got your current address on there. If you don't have that or the FSC, you can come in and see us. It's 30-question test, true, false, multiple choice. We offer that in all of our locations. Then after that, you just fill out some paperwork, 10-day wait, pay for the gun, a lot of taxes, and then start the longest 10 days of your life, probably. if you haven't bought a gun before, it's the longest 10 days of your life. Yeah.
Good job.
That was
Tim.
immaculate right there.
It's a lot of different things, but all you guys who shop in our stores regularly, you know what the routine is. You know, in short, you need your
ID or driver's license.
real ID.
Yeah.
You need your proof of residency.
Mm-hmm.
You need your FSC card, and you need a credit card, some money available on it, and you can come in. Remember, there's no more one gun a month, right?
Yeah, so no more.
Traditionally, it was about a year now. We've been on no more one gun a month. That's one of those things that people ask every day. They go, "Oh, well, I can't buy 2." No, you can buy 20. You can literally go to Turner's today. When you're hearing this, drive down to the store and buy one of every Glock we just talked about if it's available. And then 10 days later, pick them up. We're free and alive in America and California in that aspect still, where we didn't have that luxury a little over a year ago. But today, there's no one gun a month. You can go in and buy as many guns as you want. You can go buy Christmas presents or whatever. Buy yourself one of everything for Christmas.
Yeah.
Rifle, shotguns, whatever. Have at it.
Some Glock stocking stuffers. We can do some Glock stocking stuffers for the wintertime.
What did we have? Didn't we have Glock pillows?
Glock pillows.
Glock pillows.
It's a mouthful.
Maybe I wonder if they have cruciform trigger bars. I mean, we can't sell those anymore.
Yeah.
It could be problematic.
And also, if we don't have it at the location you're at, we can also have it transferred over as well.
Yeah, a lot of people ask about that all the time. They talk about,
thing.
You go online, and our website's come a long way. Now, a lot of people have caught on. If you're hearing this and you log on to your Turners.com on your computer and you find the Glock you want, you can buy it and it'll go to whichever store you want to do your paperwork in, and it'll eliminate a whole trip, right? You'll know if you're going to get it. If you get in the car and you drive down to Lake Forest right now and you're hoping they have one there may or may not. And then you'll have to wait for them to transfer one in, or send you packing or whatever, send you to another store. So by going online at Turners.com and the gun's in stock, you can buy it right there. You'll know you're going to get it. They'll email you when it's going to be in the store, and then you go down and start your 10-day wait and pick it up. You only have to go to the store 2 times and wait through the whole number pulling miserable line. But if you don't do that, the stores, if you go into the store, and we have a lot of employees, sometimes they're new, but I'll share with you here. If you go into the store and you want something that you don't see, please ask a salesperson or a manager. If they tell you they don't have one in the store, ask them if they can transfer one from another store. Same goes with online. If you go to our Turners.com site and you don't want to buy one online and you pick a model, you'll see it'll say, you could say find in store, and it'll show you which stores, and it'll say like in stock or low inventory or out of stock. So you can find a store that says in stock or low inventory and call them, verify they have one, and then shoot down there and pick it up. Or again, if it's something that's in stock, you can buy it online and save yourself some time. But you definitely want to get out there.
Yeah, that's like a huge question we get probably every day. But
yeah, we can always transfer, guys. So
always.
You can call. You can even call. Generally, you want to call the store you're going to do your paperwork in and say, "Hey, I'm looking for it." Sometimes, I'll be honest. Sometimes you want to go right to like the hunting department manager, the store manager, and just tell them you're looking for whatever model gun or whatever item. It can be anything, and ask them to find it for you. and they can have it sent in. It's called a store-to-store transfer, and we'd love for you to request that more from people, because I hate people being told no, we don't have something when we have, sometimes 50 of them in the chain. It just may not be in that physical store you're in that day or that physical store you're calling that day. So I'd highly recommend you stop by and talk to a manager and tell them you need to transfer something. And if that's the case, then we can certainly get it moving. And there's no extra fees or anything involved in that. It's not like CarMax where we charge you money. It's all free. You just buy the gun and we'll ship it over. And in all honesty, if you go down and you're looking at let's say it's a Glock 19 with the OD green frame, and the store in Norwalk doesn't have one, and they have one at Orange, they can transfer it in for you. You can look at it and go, "Ugh, that green's ugly. I'll just get a black one." They're not going to charge you for it, right? You can work with the manager, tell them Mike and Tim said so. But that's no problem there at all. Well, everyone, I appreciate you tuning into the podcast. I'm sorry it wasn't more upbeat and exciting. It's kind of a bummer anytime we're talking about gun bans, but it's a reality here in our wonderful state of California. Again, thank you very much for joining us. You can catch us also on YouTube and see our ugly faces and Tim's very bald head and my near balding head. And catch us there as well. Please follow us on Instagram and Facebook and all that other good stuff. We're doing a giveaway, I think, right now. We're trying to reach 40,000
followers. We're almost
there.
there.
In a race to 40,000 followers now. So we're hoping to get there. So please tell them where they can.
Yeah, check us out at turnersoutdoorsman or not .com, but Turner's Outdoorsman on Instagram and all our social media accounts. You'll find us there.
At
DM us.
Turner's Outdoorsman.
Yep, and DM me if you have any questions. I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Yeah, we do a real cool, for those of you who aren't avid followers on Instagram, Gunners have been putting some great content out. It's a lot of neat videos and things like that. But also we do a Wednesday question thing. So I think today's Monday.
Yeah.
So this Wednesday, not to date this, but every Wednesday, we'll put a post up that will invite questions, and you could ask us any crazy question you want, and we do our best to get through those. If it's not illegal or too redundant, we'll try to get you an answer.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I got one last thing for you guys. If you don't like these kinds of gun bans, make sure you get out there and vote. And then if you can, in addition to going out and buying Glocks, join an advocacy group, CRPA.
Yeah, CRPA is a real good one. And that's a good point. A lot of people beat us up a little bit on social media when I was talking about this whole AB 1127 and what was going on with it. A lot of people said, "Well, why aren't you fighting? Why aren't you doing this? Tell us to call to arms." It's like, what do we do? Like, what do we, like they're saying we should be rallying the people and getting them to call or getting them to go do this. And it's like, I talked to our compliance team here at Turner's, and they're like, "Dude, it is so far gone. Like this thing, there wasn't even a tap on the brake from when this thing got started to hitting governor's desk. There was, and I don't know why, as an outsider looking in, and it's another show really to talk about it, but I did happen to see on YouTube a couple of the hearings or the legislative processes that these things go through. And one of them, I remember, there was 150 people there, for the AB 1127, and there was two groups that were opposing it, and it was CRPA and I think California Gun Owners Association,
GOA.
So, and I think it's because they know the NRA, they know in this state we need to do like some big changes in November, right? Or midterms, whatever it is. You gotta vote your gun rights. And it's not easy to do here. I do it, I obviously because of, who I am and what I do in the industry, I'm very, very cognitive of who we're voting for. And it's not easy, man, because, I'll tell you what's hard. It's hard when everyone's anti-gun.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing when you're looking at, like, a governor candidate, right? It's really easy to go Chad Bianco, hell yeah,
Yeah.
or Gavin Newsom, heck
Mm-mm.
no, right? You can see that it's pretty obvious. But when you get down to some of the other positions and districts and things
Mhm.
like that, I mean, they're all anti-gun. I'm not going to really say be a
Mhm.
part. I'm not going to be party. Like I know I have a lot of customers that are Democrats. um, so I'm not going to say it's a Republican Democrat battle. It's really a pro-gun or anti-gun battle. And sometimes people who are on other sides, they may go, you know what, I'm a Democrat through and through, but I like guns. But if I can save the world and they take my gun away, oh well. I literally I have a really good customer who would be great to have on the show. His name is Paul. He's a great guy. I met him. He was a angry customer I ran into trying to save his day, and we became friends. And he is a mega Democrat, but he's a gun guy. He goes shooting every week.
Yeah.
He's had a CCW for 20 years. He owns probably 30 guns. But he told me one time back during the 2016 election, he's like, if Hillary's the president and I have to give up my gun, so be it. And I was like, wow, you're crazy. But yeah, anyways, vote, vote, vote. We can't tell you enough. Some guy said, why aren't you guys telling people to call?
Oh yeah, we did get that direct message.
Your
Local officials,
yeah,
and things like that.
your representatives, local representatives. We talked again to our attorneys and our compliance team, and they're like, you can call till you're blue in the face. This thing ain't stopping. It's just not. We don't know. We talked in the beginning of the show what the steps are. So let's talk about that. This thing is signed, sealed, and delivered and sitting on the governor's desk. There's going to be a lot of basement people, trolls, that are going to say, well, he hasn't signed it. And then he's going to say, well, what if he doesn't sign it? So from my understanding is he has a certain window he needs to sign it in. So I've been thinking, because I'm the guy that buys stuff for Turner's and has to react to booms and everything else. I also have to worry about when things slow down. So we looked at, well, what is the governor going to sign it? We don't know for sure, right? Tomorrow he could veto it, and we're back to business as usual, and it's a great thing, and that's what we want by far. That's the win here. I would like nothing more than to sell the Glocks we have forever instead of stopping right now. So, but is that going to happen? People speculate. I've talked to a lot of different people. They think he was on Sean Ryan's show, and I think Sean Ryan gave him a gun.
Yeah,
he acted like he was pro gun, and then he didn't take his gifted gun, and
he was confused by his state laws.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see if he'll sign it. I think it's no secret that he wants to run for president, is the rumor on the street that I see anyways. I don't know who else they have for 28 other than him. So I think he's prepping for that. And I think I can see a path where if I was him originally, when I started talking to people, I could see him vetoing it and saying, look, I'm not anti-gun. This was a stupid law that would have took guns away from law-abiding citizens, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what he should do. But the base that was there in full force pushing this bill through legislation, they're going to get pissed off at him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all he's got. Because he doesn't have us on his side. And I don't care what he does. You know what I mean? I'm not going to vote for him to be the president. So I see that being a problem for him, but I don't know that he would veto it and take that on the chin from his grassroots base, or whatever you call it. His base would be pretty upset. So I would imagine he's going to sign it. Now there's some different things. Someone told me the other day that he could not sign it, and if the time period lapses and he doesn't sign it, it becomes law anyways, which I'm not sure. You can go Google that, but that's what I heard. But we will let you know if we see any change, of course. We bought so many Glocks. If it changes, we'd probably have really good prices on them. Because we do have a lot of guns coming. So if you guys are in the market for a Glock and we talk some sense into you, we have a ton of inventory coming. Stop by the store. The Glocktoberfest ad starts Glocktober 1st.
Oh, yeah.
Check out that ad. Make sure you're a TDC member. You can go to turners.com and join the TDC club. Or when you're visiting in the store, you can join the TDC club for free. Those will get that will get you the weekly ads and our flyers sent directly to your inbox so you can see what's going on. Please be sure to follow us on Instagram at Turner's Outdoorsman. You're going to get the newest, freshest, updated news from this handsome gentleman gunner next to me.
That's right.
And you'll get tuned in there. Again, thank you very much. Thank you, Tim, for coming from the other side of the camera and joining us today. Gunner, it was fun as always.
Yep.
Thank you. Until next time, thanks for tuning in.